You know, my mother always taught me that honesty was the best policy, so I'm gonna be honest about the first episode of Bleach Thousand Year Blood War. And that shit was freaking awesome because after 10 years of waiting, we are finally here. Bleach has returned, and I gotta say, the first episode definitely did not disappoint. And I'm honestly just so grateful that I was able to witness the return of Bleach. And I'm here today to be able to talk about an anime that I've been a fan of for like, I swear, 10 years now. But without any further ado, let's dive into my thoughts on the first episode of Bleach Thousand Year Blood War. Let's do it. So starting out the episode, I didn't have the highest expectations. I knew it was going to be a decent episode, but it's the first episode. You can never have too high expectations for the first episode. You know, you need to give it time to establish the plot, reintroduce the characters because it's been a while, and things of that nature. But I can't lie, this episode really just jumped straight into it. It wasn't the most insanely intense episode, but I was not expecting the amount of action we did get in that episode. There was quite a bit considering it was just the first episode. But going to the very beginning of the episode, where we're introduced to two new Soul Reapers who are in charge of watching over Karakura Town, that being Ryunosuke and Shino. And Ryunosuke's really nervous, you know, the guy's nervous. It's his first time on a job like this. He doesn't want to see any hollows, but of course plot does not grant him his wish, and he bumps into a hollow. The poor guy just bumps into a hollow, and it looks like he's done for. Now, Ryunosuke seems like a cool guy. I'm like, okay, we're getting some new Soul Reapers. I wonder if these characters are going to be prevalent in the future. I still have yet to find the answer to that question, but I do think it's really cool that we're getting some new characters. I don't know if these characters are going to stay relevant. But continuing through the episode, Ryunosuke musters up the courage to fight against the hollow after seeing what happened to his friend Shino, who got taken out by the hollow pretty easily, it seemed like. Which I found to be a little ironic considering she was the one who was telling Ryunosuke not to be a pussy and that he needs to just get the job done and whatnot, but she was the first one to get taken out. That was tough. But yeah, our boy Ryunosuke built up the courage to grab his sword and fight, but because he's fodder, he got taken out in a single hit. Not to diss him or anything, because I do still respect the fact that this man really was about to go in, even though he knew he had no chance of winning. But of course, to the rescue, we have our favorite characters, Orihime, Ichigo Kurosaki, Uri, and our boy Chad. Like, when I seen Orihime's little things appear, I'm like, oh, they're here. The squad pulls through. They take out these hollows. You know, we get reintroductions to the character. Uru gets a cool little shot, Chad gets a shot, Orihime gets a little shot, and of course Ichigo. Now, Ichigo's sequence was absolutely insane. A bunch of hollows are pulling up on them, and then this man says in the sexiest tone imaginable. Roll the clip. Yeah, you heard him. Bankai, man. The way he says it is actually just, it's crazy, bro. That voice acting is just insane. But regardless, he pulls out the Bankai. We get a sick animated sequence where there's all this energy around him. He had this new little full brain collar. He got the slick black blade with the edges on it. It was just insane. But the way he did that Getsuga Tensho was incredible. And they added a really cool explosion effect, which I really loved. And then when Ryunosuke was like, who are you? And Ichigo got that really sick shot where he turns back and said, Ichigo Kurosaki. I'm like, oh man, yeah, let's go. But yeah, man, the intro scene is probably my favorite scene in the entire episode. Then the rest of the episode is really just kind of setting up the plot of this new arc where the Quincy's are for some reason trying to wage war on the Soul Society. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why they're trying to wage war. The Quincy King is back. I don't know what he was doing the whole story. I don't know who awakened him. There's still a lot of things I need to know. I'm not gonna dive into that right now. And one of the most interesting things in this episode actually that I think is worth talking about is apparently these guys have the ability to steal Bankai. Now that's the last thing I want to talk about in this video, because that's crazy. The ability to steal Bankai. So are we really even gonna have a real fighting chance if they're just gonna take away our strongest abilities in this fight? After that, I'm like, okay, I think I see where this arc's starting to go. It's gonna be a situation where most of the Soul Society may not be able to fight at their full capabilities because they're gonna be fearing the fact that their Bankais are gonna get taken away from them. So you may be seeing a lot of fights where the Soul Reapers are forced to use their Shikai. But for some reason, it also doesn't work on Ichigo. And I'm assuming that was because he's part hollow and he was full brain as well. So I'm assuming that probably helped him fight against the Bankai Stealer. But regardless, I thought that was a really cool ability and I'm excited to see where things go. Aside from that, there were a few funny scenes in the episode. Like the scene where the Quincy initially appears and he just comes through the window. They're just chilling and eating and Ichigo's like, bro, get off my bed. And then the guy's like, oh, I'm Quincy number this or whatever his introduction was. Then Ichigo just yeets the man out the window with a kick. I'm like, yo, this is exactly the type of things I wanted to see from Bleach. Because this is the type of stuff we've seen in the early episodes of the series. But the iconic jump in the air, launch a kick, bro. But either way, I don't want to get too deep into that. Regardless, that's going to be the end of my thoughts on this episode. I didn't want to talk about every single thing, but generally, I really enjoyed the episode. Great introduction to Bleach. Bleach is finally back. Oh my god. How many times am I going to say that? It's insane. But regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, have an awesome day. Those are my thoughts on Bleach 1000 Year Blood War, Episode 1.